Well, thank you all so much for coming. I really appreciate it today. I appreciate having my family and many of my colleagues and my friends here. And thank you all for joining us. I wanted today to make my announcement. When I first got into politics 4 years ago, I ran specifically to support and advocate best policies over partisan ideology. And I committed to being the kind of leader that would work to find common ground and to do things differently. Increasingly, that has put me at odds with many in the Republican Party here locally, and it's one of the reasons that's given me pause to evaluate where I belong and where I am. As a consequence, because I think many in the local Republican Party are becoming more narrow in their demand for ideological purity as well as in their demand for a combative tone and posture, I have decided to switch parties. I'm making the switch to the Hawaii Democratic Party not only because I think it fits me better, but after governing for 4 years with many of my colleagues that you see here today, I found that there's been a commonality and an alignment in many of the policies that I wish to pursue and in many of the priorities that I have. There's some of the same that many of the people that you see here today have been advocating as well. I also think they comport very well with the Democratic Party here. And as a consequence, to better be able to uphold my commitments to my constituents of supporting and advocating best policies and best ideas, as well as to continue to work to find common ground over and make a difference rather than just making a point, I will be switching political parties and will be joining the Hawaii Democratic Party. I think the speaker wanted to just say a few words.
Well, first, I'm very happy that Aaron is joining us. Very qualified person with a big future ahead of him. And the Democratic Party and the Democratic majority has a big tent. People of a lot of different persuasions and passions. And he will fit very well within the tent that we have and being able to make and help his community. I believe he's taking the right path for his future. And again, we welcome him into the House in the Democratic Party. I'm going to let the majority party, the majority chair, speak for the majority members of the House.
I just have some brief comments. We are really excited to have Aaron join us. The Democratic Party has been successful in Hawaii because we have always been inclusive and we have always striven to work with individuals with different perspectives and philosophies. That is what has made us successful. We look forward to working with Aaron because he will bring talent, energy, and enthusiasm to our Democratic caucus.
I welcome Aaron into the Democratic Party. I have been working with Aaron from before he ran for office. He lives down the street from me. He's very active in the community. And as a state representative, and me being the state senator, we have over the years worked very closely together in a nonpartisan manner. And so now that he joins the Democratic Party, we'll be able to work more closely together. I don't think anything will change. We'll continue to agree and disagree on issues as we have in the past. But he does have a bright future. He is a shining star, and we need to nurture the newcomers and the young people, the next generation, because they are the ones that are going to be leading us into the future. And so, welcome.
Representative, can you ask some questions?
Sure.
What do you say to people that, with the voters, who might think this was a disingenuous move? It's so close to the election. You won the election as a Republican, and now you're switching parties.
Well, I think I would say that I think much of my district voted for me despite of being a Republican, as I have gone door to door over multiple election cycles. There are so many Democrats, independents, Republicans, and people who are not affiliated with the party who have supported me and continue to return this year. I would also say that those two fundamental commitments that I mentioned of supporting best policy and best idea over partisan ideology, working to find common ground, are themes that have been echoed in all of my campaign literature as well as much of the governmental information that I've sent out. So it's enabling me to be more consistent with who I have committed to be to my district and who I think my district wants and needs.
Are you switching parties because you couldn't hold on to your position as a minority leader?
No, I think this has been a very deliberative personal process for me, and I wouldn't make such a decision just based on any one position or maneuver. I think one has to be at peace with where they are, what they want to advocate, and so it does not have any.
Is there a singular issue that sort of pushed you or prompted this decision, or was it an overall?
Well, I think on certain issues, particularly on working families and workers' rights, those are issues that I've been very supportive of in respect of the party. Those align better in the Democratic Party, as well as what I'd like to see in public education and the preservation of the social safety net. So many issues have led me here today, and I would say that it's taken 4 years of recognizing some of the misconceptions that I had about the local Democratic Party. And what made that realization possible is many of the people that you see before you today and what they've advocated and what they stand for. And I have a better understanding, I think, of what the local Democratic Party stands for and what it advocates.
Representative, I'm wondering if you could tell us how will the voters of your district benefit from your political party change?
Well, I think the biggest benefit will be the fact that I will fully be able to be who I committed to be, rather than being focused on remaining the loyal opposition. Some would like, and I understand that some Republicans really want that. That's not who I am. It's not who I committed to be. And I'm just looking forward to making a collaborative, constructive, and positive difference. So I think just being able to be myself and what I committed to the district and my constituents to be would be a great help.
Representative, you represent a district that has traditionally elected Republicans, and you have served the district as a Republican. But I noted that in the last legislative session, you threw in with the Democrats in organizing the House. So I think there might be, in many people's mind, a thought that a fraud was committed, in that if you're throwing in with the Democrats in the legislature in the last session, and you want to switch to the Democratic Party, you should have done it prior to the election. Otherwise, you're really committing a fraudulent act to a Republican district.
Well, I remained a Republican for the last 2 years of my term, so I don't think that was in any way inconsistent with who I ran to be in 2012.
The inconsistency is that you threw in with the Democrats in the legislature, and now you run as a Republican, and now you change parties, and the district has no recourse except for 22-month wait. Whereas if we had recall in the state of Hawaii, we could recall you, or circulate a petition to recall you, and see if your constituency really does support it. My name's Mike, and I'm chairman of Citizens for Recall in the state of Hawaii.
Well, and that's a decision that my constituents will have to make.
Why didn't you make the decision to change parties before the election?
You know, it has been a very personal, deliberative, and gradual process. I think one can always ask the question of why now, why not then, why not in the future. But this is the right time for me, and that's why I made the decision.
But really, Aaron, you weren't a Republican when you were a Republican.
What media source are you representing, Mr. Fauci?
It's fine. Okay, do you guys have any other questions?
They should be invited to speak, and not to.
That's okay. I have a question for Senator Kim. I seem to recall that you got your start during the whole recall of the 3 councilmen, Hiraki, Matsumoto, Taro, and Akahani. How are you viewing this situation?
Well, in that situation, Patsy Mink came back and led the recall of the City Council. But if you recall, there have been many Republicans that and Kobayashi made the change, and there's a couple others I can't remember.
Virginia Isabel.
Right. And so they have been in the legislature, many changes from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party, no recall. But in the City Council, yes, that was the one and only time there was recall election. I think the party had to do with Patsy Mink.
Do you think we ought to have recall and referendum?
That's something that the legislature should decide.
Well, you're in the legislature.
Well, but I'm one person.
But what's your personal opinion?
Well, I think that discussion has to take place. At this point, it's worked both ways.
I have always been opposed.
Aaron, committee chairman have already decided, do you know, is there going to be any change in the leadership of any committees on that day? Or?
Yeah, that's not something that's been discussed. It wasn't what my decision was predicated on, and that's something I leave up to leadership to decide.
There's
you
nothing
approach-
planned at this point, and we will discuss it in the future, but it's not like it's going to be rewarded for what probably is going to be losing some of that.
And how does this work as far as the reorganization? I imagine you haven't doled out the Republican assignments yet. You haven't heard from them.
It's only because they have not been able to get together, but if come the day of the opening, if they still have not named, then I will name them. The Speaker of the House has a responsibility to name the committee members, and as a courtesy, we allow the Republican Party to come in with their recommendations. If I don't hear from them, then I will name them come the opening of the legislature. And it has nothing to do with the reorganization. We have more than enough Democrats at this point.
And who approached whom in this? Did you go to the Democratic Party, or did the party approach you?
I did. It was a self-initiated discussion. Again, I think it's a personal decision that everybody has to make. So it was one that I initiated.
And when did you make the first contact? When was the first
I mean,
call?
that's hard to say because it's been a 4-year process. So
But I mean, was it after the election?
it was, yeah, to be official,
And you approached
but it wasn't right after the election. It was this one.
this one?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.